Hello, it's David Gower here, the CEO of Emerita Resources, to provide you with an update on Emerita's results and activities for the first part of the year, and a window into what we expect for the coming quarter. The main activity, of course, for us has been the Iberian Belt West project, where we're doing a lot of drilling. The biggest achievement for the team there really was getting finally the permits to drill the very large Romanera deposit. And subsequently, we announced and have commenced a 70,000 meter drill program on that deposit. The target of that drill program will be to bring the resource to a 43-101 resource for economic studies, along with provide the material to do the metallurgical testing required. Initial results have been fantastic, particularly surprising, even though we anticipated good precious metals. The first hole we released intersected 14.3 meters of 7.6 grams per ton gold, 311 grams per ton silver, and decent base metal values along with that. In our second release, we had a hole with 24.3 meters grading 2.77 grams per ton gold, 65 grams per ton silver, with over 8% zinc, 3% lead, and 0.5% copper. So really good results coming out of the gate, and very good thicknesses. This deposit is, in our view, one that we can grow. The historical drilling, which was about 50 holes that we have in our database, tested the target for around 450 meters of strike and down to about 350 meters. The conductor that we have defined in our geophysical surveys indicates metal could extend for 1.2 kilometers along strike and certainly below that depth. So this program will both confirm the existing resources and expand them, or that's the objective at least. And of course, the upper part of the deposit, which was drilled very early in the history by Asturiana de Zinc, we're not assayed for gold, in some cases not precious metals. And in the upper 200 meters, we do see very good gold enrichment in a number of the holes initially. So this could be a nice sweetener for the overall deposit. So stay tuned. The big quarter for Romanera is coming up with all of the drilling that we're doing. The next 2 quarters, we should have a very steady flow of drill results coming out of that deposit. With respect to IBW Infanta, we do continue to drill on Infanta. It's been somewhat downplayed because of our emphasis on Romanera, but we do continue to hit mineralization there, and there should be a release of results coming soon on that. At this point, mineralization has been intercepted on that target over 1.4 kilometers of strike. So that system continues to grow. It's relatively narrow compared to Romanera, so not all of it will be ore or mineable, I would say. But we have extended mineralization to at least 300 meters in the deepest part, which is substantially deeper than the 110 meters from the historical drilling, and obviously much longer along strike. We are seeing mineralization pick up in the east with just one hole at this point, so we don't know whether that will build into more tonnage or not at this stage, but those results will be forthcoming. Elsewhere on the project or within the company, we released the results this morning on the airborne, the preliminary results on the Nueva Tintillo airborne. Very interesting results from the initial work. Nueva Tintillo, just to remind people, is in Seville province to the east, close to Asnocoyer. It's a very strategic land position, 23 kilometers of strike on the key stratigraphy. To the northwest of Nueva Tintillo, you've got the giant Rio Tinto deposit, which is being mined by Atalaya. And beyond that, the Aguastinitas mines, which are now owned by Sandfire out of Australia. Prior to that, it was Matza, which was a Traffic Hero subsidiary. And then to the southwest, of course, or southeast, sorry, of course, you've got Asnelcoir, very close to the southeast boundary. And beyond Asnelcoir, you've got the large First Quantum Cobre de las Cruces operation. So this is 23 kilometers on the most productive stratigraphy, really, in the Iberian Pyrite Belt. This property has not been worked since the 1980s. So this airborne survey that we've just flown is the first systematic exploration done on this ground in more than 40 years, or about 40 years. The results we've identified based on the initial analysis, 15 areas within that belt. And keep in mind, within the Nueva Tintillo property, there are 3 past producers. So there is metal there already. The 2 on our property date back to about a century ago, relatively small, but essentially unexplored in a modern context. And from those, the area of those 2 small past producers, you can actually look across the valley and see the giant Rio Tinto pit. And then the other one, which is closer to Asnelcoir, the actual Tintillo deposit, we don't own that one, but there is a 2 million ton high grade deposit, which again speaks to the prospectivity of this stratigraphy. There's a number of other mineralized occurrences known along that belt between those areas. So highly prospective. We are starting the boot and hammer work on the ground and the actual compilation of marrying the geophysical results with the geological results, and obviously we'll do some trenching, mapping, prospecting, and the objective will be to be drilling that probably in the 4th quarter. But very exciting to see that project moving ahead. The final project I will mention, I guess, is the Asnelcoir lawsuit, which obviously is still one of the major catalysts for this company in the future. There's not really any resolution at this point. However, there was an important announcement by the administrative court during this period. It stated 2 things. The first was that they were not going to release their resolution until the criminal court had ruled. And in 99% of the cases, I'm told by counsel, where the administrative court and the criminal courts are involved, this is the normal process. The administrative court, it normally defers its decision until the criminal court ruling is complete. But it did also say, which is very important, that it considers the administrative case to be essentially identical to the criminal case. This is important because we already know the criminal case views that the competing bid for Asnelcoir is illegal. 5 Superior Court judges have unanimously stated that the other bid was illegal and should have been disqualified. And in fact, the basis for a number of the criminal charges related to the prevarication and corruption and fraud is the fact that people related to the public tender process allowed the other bid to proceed knowing that it did not meet the requirements. So this is subtle reassurance that the criminal and administrative courts will be aligned in their rulings. So our interpretation of that is that we do have more certainty in terms of the outcome. We just are still waiting on the time. The situation with the courts in Spain, as is many cases, including Canada, is there's a very large backlog of cases related to all of the shutdowns due to COVID. We need about a 2 to 3 week window because there are 16 people charged in which to hear and do the final trial for the criminal case on AZN. And hopefully that should be, that date will be set imminently. The judges who will be doing that work have already been named. The court itself has been named. And typically this is done, relatively soon before the actual trial takes place. So that will be a catalyst, hopefully, for later in the year. Typically, most government and courts, et cetera, in Spain will shut down during August, during the very hottest months. It becomes a vacation month where people try to get to the seacoast. Right now, we're experiencing daytime temperatures in the mid 40s in this part of Spain. So it's a very normal thing that people need to get relief from the heat. So if we don't hear the date by the end of this month, I would suggest that it'll be sometime after August. The final thing that I would comment on is really on the politics. The election was held in Andalusia just last month, and the party that was in power with the minority government through this last 4 years was just reconfirmed with a majority government, and this we view this as a positive outcome. This government was not the government that was in power when AZN, when the corruption case at AZN occurred. They are a subsequent government. They have been and did run on an anti-corruption, pro-business platform, and certainly they are the government that passed a resolution indicating that underground mining would be treated as a preferred economic activity for the region. So we view them as a government that's broadly supportive of responsible development in the region, and we're happy to work with them. Cabinet will be named later this month, and we look forward to once the ministers are in place, working with their teams and meeting them in the next quarter to discuss ways in which we can move our projects forward for our mutual benefit. That's the update from Emerita for the immediate time. We have a lot going on, a lot of catalysts coming, and look forward to talking to you again in the near future. Thank you very much.